You're good to go.
Thank you. The Architectural Review Board of the Town of Southampton now come to order. Welcome to the December 17th, 2024 meeting. Ms. Doyle, the ARB attorney, would you please read the legal regulations for this meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. This is really just a note regarding the board's hybrid meetings. That means the meetings are being held both in person here at Town Hall and via video conference through Zoom webinar. So if you go to the town website and click on the town clerk's meetings portal, you will find several links. There's a button to submit written comments, and when the meeting starts, there will be a link to watch the live stream video. If you wish to speak during the meeting, then you will need to click the Zoom link button in order to join the Zoom webinar. Once you have joined, please click the raise hand icon or type in the chat box so a moderator can grant you access to participate in the meeting. If you're here in person, we do have a sign-in sheet at the podium. If you're presenting an application, you can come up to the table here. If you just want to submit public comments, then you can go to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Doyle. Mr. Rump is absent so far. Mr. Wright, would you lead us in the pledge? Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Jankowski, the board secretary, would you please perform the roll and let us know if we have a quorum?
Mr. Wright?
Present.
Mr. Taglavia?
Here.
Ms. Keys?
Here.
Myself and Mr.
Mr.
Charrier. Yes, we have a quorum.
Right, thank you very much. Did the board members that were present review the minutes of the December 3rd, 2024 meeting?
Yes.
And were there any errors or omissions?
None.
If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Motion is made and seconded to approve the December 3rd, 2024 minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. So it's carried. Any old business to come before the board before we start with the published agenda? If not, then we'll start with the agenda. The first item on the agenda is a site plan review. It's an administrative review, Shinnecock Hills Golf Club Pump House bathrooms at 200 Tuckahoe Road, Tuckahoe. Is the applicant available?
Yes.
Yeah, you will. Come up and state your name and your relationship to the application.
Good morning, Tony Panza, architect for Shinnecock Hills Golf Club.
Right. Okay. Mr. Rump is the lead for this area, but since he's not there, you're familiar with the golf club, aren't you?
I wish I was a little more familiar, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Would you handle this then?
Sure.
Mr. Jankowski.
So for a few years, the golf club has been looking for a location to have an on-course bathroom, and every time we picked a location on the course, it seemed like it wasn't going to be appropriate. So what we came down to was there is an existing structure on and it's a pump house, and we'd like to take a small piece of that. And it's a modest building. It used to be L-shaped, and about 10 years ago, we demoed off part of the L, and now it's just down to, I brought some smaller prints in case you don't want to look at what's up there.
I'll take one. Thank you.
So here's some exterior elevations there, and then some plans. There's windows on each side, and there's a sliding barn door. We're just looking to, oops, sorry.
That's right.
And here's an image of what it looks like today. We're looking to remove one of the windows and basically put an opening into it on both sides, creating a breezeway so that the doors to the bathroom are not visible. They're inside the building, and no other changes to the outside of the building.
Mr. Jankowski.
Yeah, I mean, I know where this spot is in the golf course, so you're just basically putting a bathroom in there so that it can be used. So I don't have any issues with what they're doing.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Keys, comments?
No issues.
Mr. Tagliavia, comments?
None.
None. Mr. Wright, comments?
No, Mr. Chairman.
And I don't have any issues with it. I agree. Now, since this is administrative review, we have to vote on it. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve as submitted.
Do I?
Second.
And motion has been made and seconded to approve as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tom.
It's approved.
Have a good holiday, man. Take care.
Okay, next is substantial residential. This is at 4 Bay Lane. And this is 4 Bay Lane Watermill. And is the applicant available? Morning. And would you come up and state your name?
You can do it right here.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah, no, right, yeah, right here.
Yes, Lori Bepu, BMA Architects, representing the owner.
Right,
Sarah DeGray, LaGuardia Design Landscape Architecture, representing
Right.
the owner.
okay. And yeah, I'm the lead for the area, so.
Great. So the subject property is at 4 Bay Lane. It's on a flag lot with access to Meathogs Bay. The site itself is 2.4 acres. We'll be demolishing the existing residence and replacing it with the new proposed structure. There are 8,751 square feet on the first and second floor, plus a 1,020 square foot garage. And the massing consists of 3 gabled volumes. They're arranged around a swimming pool and patio that face the waterfront. The north and the south volumes are bedroom volumes, so those have shed dormers. The central volume does not. And the home's gabled forms and the horizontal elements are connected with these glassy links. So this view is at the entrance, looking through the structure out towards the pool and towards the waterfront. And the flow between interior and exterior space was important on this project. This is a view from the water side. You can see we really wanted to honor the vernacular architecture of the area and be sensitive to the scale of the project, which is how we ended up splitting the house between these 3 volumes. It does have modern detailing in terms of larger window openings and so forth, some cantilevered overhang eaves. And then in terms of materiality, we're proposing naturally weathered Alaskan yellow cedar. The windows are aluminum windows with a warm bronze finish and divided lights.
Okay. All right, and since you are on the water, all of the lighting, exterior lighting, will adhere to the Dark Skies Initiative?
It will.
Fine.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you were before this board because of the size of the project. I have no problem with it at all. I think you've done quite a good job of designing and keeping the whole area, the vernacular of the whole area, and also you were sensitive to being close to the water like that, because there are people on the other side.
There are.
So that's, okay, I have no problem. Mr. Jankowski, comments?
No, I mean, Sarah, do you just want to run through the
Sure.
landscape plan?
Yeah,
Oh.
so pretty simple moves here. We're moving the driveway a bit to the east just to make room for the new proposed architecture.
Do you mind telling me where the road is, just because so
Sure.
I can follow you?
Right
with
to
it?
the bottom of the page.
Okay,
it's that
great.
right
Thank
away,
you,
yes.
thank you, thank you.
So the road is just, the
I see
driveway
it now.
moving slightly to the east. There's an existing tennis court on the property that will be maintained as well. The perimeter screening is pretty substantial on this lot in particular, so we're maintaining a bunch of that on the neighbor's side. The only place where we're proposing to remove some screening but replace it in kind is to the north of the proposed residence. You can kind of see that line of proposed evergreens that we'll be planting there. And as Lori was mentioning before, the whole project revolves around the swimming pool, kind of outdoor living area. We're not touching any of the vegetation close to the water, so all of that vegetation will remain as is. But yeah, perimeter screening was really important, so lots of existing evergreens, existing trees that we are proposing to keep, and existing privet hedges along the right of way as well.
Okay, so
Yeah.
when you said keep in kind, that means obviously if we uproot something that just because of foundation and whatnot, we'll make sure we replace it with the same size and the same
Yep.
species.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I skipped this over with you, but our landscape architect, Mr. Rump, also looked at
Great.
this so, ahead of time.
Perfect.
Yeah, okay,
So I don't have any issues.
you don't have any issues. Ms.
Yeah.
Keys,
I think it's beautiful. I really do, and I am not that person. So the one question I have is, you said you're proposing a specific kind of materials. Is that the materials we will see, or you?
I don't see any reason that would change. Yes, that's the
If it
intention.
changes, could you possibly let us know?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay,
certainly.
great. But
Yeah, you
other
would have
than
to
that,
come
I
back.
think both of it looks quite beautiful. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Mr. Tagliavia?
Yeah,
comments?
I have no further comments. I think it's
Okay,
beautiful.
Mr.
It
Wright?
fits. I'm good.
Okay, and you've heard my comments. Okay, any comments from the public on this? Because it's it's a substantial residential and it's not administrative, so. No comment, any comments from Zoom? Okay, thank you. All right, do I hear a motion to approve as submitted?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. It's
Thank you.
approved.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
And thanks for the complete presentation.
Our pleasure.
Okay, next on the agenda is 658 Flying Point Road, 658 Flying Point Road Watermill. Is the applicant available? Kevin, is the applicant available? Okay, I'll just explain it since it's already up. I had a little bit of difficulty with this particular project. Ms. Doyle, could you go to the previous rendering? Because that would be a little easier to see.
This one?
No, before that. This one, can you blow it up a little? I know I'm asking a lot here. Okay, this is on Flying Point, at the end of Flying Point almost. It is facing other houses across the water. It's totally a glass elevation. At night, this is going to be similar to that situation that we had in,
At the college.
yeah, at the college in Shinnecock Hills. And it's also got a roof deck, and they have not specified the lighting or anything. This is why I was wanting them here.
They're not on Zoom. He said he was gonna be on.
Yeah. No, not on Zoom, Miss Meyer. We can hold this over until the end of the meeting. Any problem with anyone on that? On the
See if they
board?
come back on.
Yeah, see if
Okay.
they come back on.
That's fine.
That's
Okay.
it. Same location.
What? Oh, okay. All right. Next is, since we'll hold them off, that's delayed. Next, we have on the agenda is 400 Main Street, Cuyahoga. The applicant's available? Yes. Come on up, and would you state your names and your relationship to the application?
Steve Caputo, I'm the agent for the applicant, and this is Walter Dunn, Dunn Engineering.
Right.
What do you mean agent?
Represent.
I'm the guy that put together all the paper and got the paper cuts.
Okay, I got it.
The workhorse.
Right.
The engine.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Jankowski is the lead for the area on this, and
Okay.
this falls within his area, so would
Would
you
it-
present
interesting situation in that this went through the building department signed off on it, issued a building permit, construction started pursuant to the building permit, and then there was a question as to whether or not A or B was ever filed. That's my understanding of it, and if somebody has heard something different, I will defer to them.
Okay.
I can't get an answer. I mean, I don't know what the answer is because I've heard three different versions. So I know that building sent down building inspector Chi, he put a stop work order on this about 2 weeks ago, give or take a couple of days. So unique that it's coming back in. Also, I don't believe it's substantial construction, but I think it's in front of you because it had never been reviewed by you. If I have that
There we go.
correct.
Correct, you are very correct in that. It was never reviewed by this board at all, and there is some question as to the wording on the building permit or the demolition permit. But it should have come before us even if it was a demolition permit.
That's understood. My understanding was that when this originally went in, it was at the time of the transition from where we had independent filings with ARB. The prior filing was as part of your building permit package. I didn't file a building permit, so I'm only relying on the people that did. Back then, you had the one-page ARB form, which was submitted with the building permit application, and my understanding was it somehow got to you. We're now not in that system anymore. Now we have independent filing with ARB separate from the building department, and I think this came in during that transition. So there was an ARB application completed. Did it ever get to you?
No,
My guess is it did not.
no, I can tell you definitely it did not get to us.
But it wasn't trying to.
Because we went through our records, Mr. Jankowski and myself went through the records all the way back to 2023.
Oh, no,
to check.
this was filed in 2024.
I know, but we,
Okay.
just in case,
I-
something, because
no,
we
I-
were in the dark on this
There,
too.
there seems to be no question that whatever
Yeah.
happened to that original ARB form never worked its way to you. Also, I can say it is not in the building department file, because I've looked at the file. It's not in there. I don't know what happened to it, but it's on the checklist. It was checked off as received, but I don't know what happened.
Well, I
That's
saw
the best I can
a
tell you.
checklist where it stated that ARB approval had not been submitted yet. That was in the building department.
Yes, but then there was some reference in the file that something came in. Also, apparently, there have been two separate ARB applications that have been submitted by this property owner. One then was ultimately withdrawn by the prior architect, and the one that is in front of you now. So if there was anything that could have been done on this to make this confusing, trust me, we did it. And so we're in front of you now, but I don't, to your point earlier, I don't know that we've ever addressed the demo.
Apparently not.
I-
Yeah,
I-
that never went, and it's already, well, that is gonna be dealt with in the building department, the demolition. In other words, this is a past due situation.
They want a demo permit. I understand it. They
Yeah.
want a separate demo permit. That we understand, but I don't think they're going to move on that until we take care of this issue.
Right.
That's all I know. I've given you everything I know on that.
Okay, well, then fine. Mr. Jankowski, you wanna,
Yeah.
we'll go through with the review of what you've submitted.
Well,
That's
no,
why I
no,
had Mr. Dunn.
yeah, we're gonna let them talk
Yeah.
about that first. Let's just resolve the fact of, like, when you're saying you have a building permit, right? That you
Yes.
said was issued.
Yes.
So you have that?
I might have a copy of it with me. I think I have. the
So I'm
soft
curious,
copy.
the whole reason why we have the ARB board, right?
Right.
And then when the building inspectors call us and say, hey, this didn't get signed off on yet, I can't issue a building permit. So
Right.
I guess I'm confused on how did they get a building permit issued if ARB didn't sign off on anything
Well,
yet?
they wouldn't have, because, just to explain the situation here, the building permit, ARB will sign off on every structure within the town, either individually or as the board. Then it goes through the building department. If that application, and this has happened, does not have a clear signature from the ARB on that application, it gets kicked down from the third floor where the final check is made. And this never made it to the third floor to review everything.
What do you have there?
Well,
Yeah.
I can tell you that there wasn't, that that 2 permits were issued. I don't have the permits, but I have the permit numbers. The permit for the new house was P093605, and there was also a demo permit issued at the same time. October, both of these issued in October of this year, 2024. The demo permit is P093726. So they clearly weren't filed on the same day, but they were filed close. I don't have the copy of the permit with me. I should have brought, do you have a copy?
I mean, we could probably get
I was
it.
gonna say, do we have the
Well,
GIS where we can
We
just go to
do,
that?
but
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of all that,
Right, yeah,
right
we're
now
here
we're
to-
here.
We're here.
So things
Yes.
happened. It didn't get reviewed by the ARB. Now it's before the ARB. So
So-
let's just go with that because
Right.
we don't need to get into all this right now.
Because that is
It's here
something you're
before the
gonna have to
ARB. It
deal
has to be
with.
reviewed.
Thank you, Ms. Doyle. It's something you'll have to deal with the building department.
And that, Mr. Chairman, what happened here is that it's become very confusing because we went through everybody in the building department and the permit was issued, all right? And so there's something internally that happened or didn't happen, and we were never notified at that point in time. I prepared a response letter to all the comments from the building inspectors, and it was very thorough, I will say that. I listed each one of the comments, and I had the response to each one of them. And after that, they issued the permit. They were very thorough what they did, but somehow they didn't have, there's 2 things that they didn't have. One was the historical information, and I prepared a $20,000 report for the applicant, and we found out once we turned everything in that it was a mistake. They didn't need it because it wasn't old enough to comply with the needs of the historical district. So we went on, all right? So next popped up is there was a change in the inspectors. They seemed to revolve around certain periods of time, and the first one, he exited out of the situation after the building permit was issued, and the second building inspector came in and saw that there wasn't anything from the ARB. So he initiated the demand for us to go through the ARB, which we were always willing to do, but it was never told us that we had to. So that internal change made it confusing to us. You know,
Okay, well,
I want to tell you that we're
Yeah.
here to resolve. My job on all these projects now is to resolve everything. So we're looking to see how we can work with you. And what we want to do is try to understand what your comments are, what you need, any suggestions you
So
have.
let's hear the
Well,
project.
that's
We're
what,
ready to do that.
all right, so let's go on with the presentation to Mr. Jankowski and the board.
And first, I'd like to interrupt in one step that, since it's new, this is my first time since I've been in town since 1981 as a professional engineer of my business, that I've been here before this board. So I'm honored to come here and meet everybody. And I just wanted to point out that everybody's been very cooperative. I worked along with Tim Rump, many projects side by side through the years on major developments throughout the town. And I called Tim and said, Tim, I don't understand how this
Well,
happened."
okay, this
I mean, you
is
did-
superfluous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't go into,
No, no,
don't go
don't,
into
look.
conversations that were
No,
outside the
don't,
scope.
let's,
We don't need that.
Okay,
no, let's
all right.
stop right there.
Please, can we
Okay.
just go to the
I was trying
Because-
to compliment them, that's what I do. When I
No,
withdraw my
it-
compliments, all right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter,
All
let's,
right, okay,
don't-
so I guess I was interrupting here with your
Yeah.
conversation was that it's my understanding that the permit and the demolition to demolish the building on Linden Lane, the northerly building on the property, was at the same time. So that was what was done. Then they came back and they applied for demolition to remove the building down.
Walter, I'm gonna stop you. We're moving on from
We're
that
mov-
right
we're
now.
moving
All right, because we're
on.
not gonna resolve that right here in this time
and
frame.
you're gonna have to
What you're gonna
resolve
do
that
right
with the
now
building.
is give us the presentation, just like you saw the other
Yes.
2 people before
Can
you.
I just
I can tell you what the
interject
resolution.
real quick? Because I stepped on this. This was going on before I came on board.
Right.
And I haven't done the job. But what is presently there now? What have you done? Right? Because there's been stop work orders.
Foundation and framing.
Foundation.
That's what I thought.
Foundation
but,
and framing, okay.
Significant supplies are being stored there.
Okay, now let's get on with the presentation.
Thank you.
Can I just, in terms of what has to be addressed somewhere else, that's being done with the building department. We already understand what they want and what they want going forward, and we're taking care of that. We
Right.
just need to make an initial presentation to you so you know what we're building. Because apparently, this is first impression. So that's why I thought it'd be important to have Mr. Dunn here. He can talk about what we're building there and answer your specific questions about what is being proposed.
Well, I can tell you, this board is only gonna look not at the machinations of everything. We're looking at the design.
And that's what I thought it would be
Right,
important
and
to have.
how harmonious it is to the neighborhood and to the area.
Understood,
And that's what we're looking at, that's what this board is charged with.
understood.
Okay, now, would you
Can I-
start with the presentation?
The presentation, we've asked for this rendering here to be withdrawn. It's not the example.
Well then, okay, I'm gonna stop you. Why was it then submitted to us?
I did not submit it. It was a designer who submitted it all at once, and his eagerness to comply with the board's request, all right?
Can
That
I
was a mistake.
maybe take a step back from the presentation? The original plans and designs on this were done by another party who's not here, who's no longer involved in this project. It's not my place, and I don't think the board really cares for us to point fingers, but something here was amiss. What we're trying to do is come in for the homeowner and get us back to where we were supposed to be in October. So what was submitted to the board last week, which is a site plan, a survey, and the renderings, are identical to the building permit as issued.
Okay.
Which rendering, though? So
Where's
let me
the
just
rendering?
Can we start? Is that this, Steve?
What-
Look up here
Is that it?
and then walk us through.
That's the new one, correct?
That's the site plan layout.
Do we have an
Yes.
exterior markup of what it would look like?
We had the plans that we submitted.
Do you have
But
the
the-
rendering?
Elevations?
You just told me those weren't the ones that you wanted to use.
What rendering do you have? Yeah, and would you turn off the cell
Yeah,
phone?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay,
First time it's gone off like that, I apologize.
okay, and direct your,
We submitted the drawings. And the whole plan was a original survey of the property, all right? There was a question that was asked for a proposed survey, which there's no such thing as a proposed survey.
Well, let's not go.
Can we-
Let's
we got
let's
to
just
get
get
stop
the
this,
right
yeah.
rendering
Okay.
in front
Yeah,
of the board,
let's
which is
get-
the correct
Okay.
rendering.
So
Yeah.
we've given the plans here, which were part of, I had them
Here,
reduced to
Mr.
11 by 7
Jankowski.
to pass them around.
Yeah, we can look
Does
at
that
them up here
match
too.
what's-
I don't need to be
But
able to
does
look
it-
at them in front of me. You want them, Bruce?
I'll just let you go.
That's in there, right? Got 'em.
What is in these?
Now?
just let,
Yeah.
Gigantic
Yep, yep.
take, foundation and stick. They knocked down, there was 2 cottages that were on the site. Good, continue.
yes.
This is now the correct,
These are the elevations requested. That other one was a rendering and it shouldn't have been submitted as an elevation.
Okay, do you have the one, a rendering that should be submitted?
No,
Why not?
it wasn't asked for. In the
Yes, it
term-
was asked for, I asked for it.
but we gave it to you last week. The 3 things that I provided last
Look.
week, one was the rendering.
We gotta move this for another time.
No, to me-
Look, I reviewed this, the first plans came through, Mr. Jankowski and I reviewed it. The renderings didn't match the plans, the site plan was from somewhere, I don't know where, because it didn't match the site of the area.
And then
And-
last week we submitted,
Everything that was submitted is sitting on that table. Everything was submitted.
okay.
Might be
To
here.
try to, which one is us? Here we are. Okay.
That's the full-size plans.
That's the plan. I'm just gonna lay them out. So this is the survey. And then here we go. And this is the architect.
So that's your landscape plan, spread that
The
out.
landscape plan rather, and then that's the correct survey.
So then the site plan should be on this one then too?
The site plan on this?
The site plan was separate.
The site plan, but this is the site plan for the landscape. The site plan. I
Yeah.
keep hitting, I'm sorry.
No, this is the site plan that was in the submission.
Gotcha.
And then also when it was the survey, original survey the property.
Right.
That's the original.
Before
Right,
we
with the two,
started.
yeah, that's what I would.
No, I'll get to that. Okay.
Yeah, this is what you're proposing then, right? Obviously, you don't have a proper rendering, but at least you have elevations here. And, well, I don't want to keep talking for you, so then continue your presentation or tell me that you're done. And then either go over the landscaping plan. This is your guys' time to talk.
Yeah.
Do we have a rendering that matches this?
No. It was confusing because what I was given was elevations, and that rendering was not really what we should have presented for the design.
All right. And then this is now the site plan, landscape plan that matches the permit, correct?
Correct.
And this is the survey that matches the site plan, that matches the permit,
No,
correct?
that's the site plan, the proposed site plan for the whole site, right?
That matches the permit.
Correct.
And this is the survey
The original survey.
as to what exists now. I'm only doing this so that
Well,
we're delineating what
When you said
everything
as
is.
exists now, that's been torn down though. I went to the site.
I mean,
The
I'm
sur-
sorry, when I say
Yeah.
what existed prior to construction. This is,
Okay,
this is prior, this is proposed. And so the prior is the survey, the proposed is
Yes.
site plan.
And then that's the prior. So that's what was, that's what they're building.
Shifted that.
So in this landscape plan, what does that show? Is this just lawn with trees around the edge?
That's correct.
Let's see.
And the plantings
Just,
are over here.
can we see
and
it from the
this- and this
street
is
view?
the landscape.
Like a Google?
Google, yeah.
Do you mind? Thank you.
And you can see the one comment that we did receive by the inspector was to create a site distance triangle in the corner of Linden Lane and Main Street, which was done and showed what the plantings were. I believe that the ones that were put in here, when the inspector looked at it, they cut them down so that they're lower to conform to the elevation required by ASHTO.
That's it right there.
That's
That's the side, yeah.
and there's framing up now, and I believe even the pool, the
what I-
foundation for the pool is there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
This is what was there.
Is it time for me?
Yeah, time
Okay.
for you.
All right. So your presentation is concluded, right? So now it's time for discussion. So my first thoughts on this, we're not even going to get into the permitting part of it and the timing of it.
That's out of it. Yes.
Simply just going to go with, we're tasked, the purpose of our board is to maintain the character of the neighborhoods, all right? And that's what the town board is tasked, the ARB board with. This particular dwelling does not fit the character of the neighborhood. Not even close of where it's located. A postmodern looking house in an area that's filled with the character of the neighborhood, all A-frame construction, almost farmhouse kind of looks to it. I understand it's your property and they're allowed to build what's permitted, but even with the landscaping plan that you have in order to circle this entire dwelling, I'm not going to sign off on it to be approved. And that's going to be my recommendation to the rest of the board that's up here. I think there's more that we either have to look into as far as getting to the bottom of how this even got started, which I don't think we're going to resolve here today. But just strictly just you sitting in front of our board and that being the presentation of what you're showing us, I can't recommend approval.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jankowski. Ms. Keys?
I agree with the lead entirely. And I also feel that size is a major aspect to me of architectural review. And the difference in this community, it completely changes the flavor of this area. And I do not recommend to any approval of this particular property.
Mr. Tagliavia, comments, please?
Yes, at the moment, I don't think I can even comment to the aesthetics because the whole presentation is unclear as to what you are proposing, what is currently being built as compared to the original permit set that you have described that you had in hand, which we haven't seen. So I'm not clear, and I don't think this presentation is ready for the board to even comment on the aesthetics because I don't know what is being proposed to be built. Okay. So I think the presentation needs to be resubmitted with clearer indications of the plan.
Okay. Mr. Wright, comments?
Mr. Tagliavia said it all. I agree with him.
Okay.
I also think that when you come back, you need a very extensive landscape plan because you are right on Main Street, and that plan is inadequate.
Okay. And my comments are this. There are times where you can take a modern structure and put it in a traditional neighborhood, but you have to be sensitive to the line and design of the neighboring structures. And apparently your architect did not do that in any way, shape, or form. And that's where I have a problem with it. And the landscape plan, I would like that reviewed by our landscape architect on the board, Mr. Rum, before we come to any decision. Also, I would like to see a rendering, which I did request. I could tell you the shape of the structure, in my opinion, does not fit with the neighborhood at all. The rendering that was up there barely is appropriate for the neighborhood because it had gable roofs. This is a flat roof. There is not a flat roof close in proximity to this structure at all. And that's what I'm addressing at this point. Now, from what I gather, there is no one that is going to, the board, I don't think they're going to, if we do a vote on it, and that's going to be after we hear from the general public on this, I don't think, we do need to have this revised. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to the public, and because we received 3 letters from the public. Ms. Doyle, you have those letters?
I do, yes. I'm not sure, we can go through everyone who's here today because they might be the same people that submitted these letters.
Right.
Then we don't have to read it all into the record.
Okay, but they should be, did anyone the public here, did they write a letter? And if you did, would you please get the letter from Ms. Doyle and go to the podium and read it into the minutes of the meeting?
Or you don't have to read it word for word, but if you just want to, or if you want to, you could. Whatever you want to do.
It's submitted.
Okay.
Right? It's submitted.
It's submitted.
So then you can paraphrase. Or
Yeah,
you can
I mean,
quote.
no,
My name is Jay Scanzaroli.
Thank you.
I live at 11 Linden Lane, which is catty corner across the street from the 400 Main Street, which is the address of the property that we're talking about. First, I want to just say a couple of things. One, we have interacted what I call the Linden 11. There's 11 homes on a private road called Linden Lane. It is a straight road, it's like a driveway. It's got linden trees built along it. It's just a beautiful area, beautiful road, and a beautiful community of quiet. And I can tell you through the years, I've been there 25 years, the residents have gone out of their way to maintain the look of Linden Lane. I was sandied. I raised my house. Got sandied.
Yeah.
I raised the house. We had an option of eliminating the house, and my wife said, nope, we're not doing that, because this house is the gentleman's house, and we bought that from the gentleman. So I'm just saying, and we have other houses in the community where every type of change or renovation has been kept pristine to that street. Brian Mahoney had the candy store, ice cream shop, which is on the corner of Linden and Main. He just redid the house. Shingles, copper gutters, exquisite. The Warrens just put a new roof on their house, shingled roof, perfect, in compliance with everything that we're doing. This is not, I'm glad the board is where they are in this, because it is highly unacceptable to us as residents, and I can tell you that I speak for every of the 11 residents on Linden Lane. When I looked at what you just showed, and I saw just to drive the parking lot in front of that structure, that's going to be Linden Lane. We're going to have to look at that. And that's unacceptable totally, because people in the neighborhood refer to it as the largest Taco Bell I've ever seen, or a car dealership. That's what people are thinking about this. The letter that was submitted on the 9th to the board, that's my hand, signed by 10 residents of Linden Lane. We would have had all of them, but some of them were not available to sign. And I think it talks about a bunch of stuff, which I don't need to. You want me to read this, or we're talking?
Well, it's submitted into the record.
It's in the record. It's in the record.
It's in the record.
And I don't want to have to repeat what's in here, because I know it's been distributed to you as well. I guess there's a couple of things that I'd like to comment on. One, I was painting my 75-year-old jockey in front of the house, and I met the new owner. Before anything happened, I met the new owner. And I congratulated him on buying the property. I wished him well. And I said, by the way, I hope that what you put up is going to be consistent with the homes in this community. And he looked at me and said, nope. My architect has a modern structure going up. It's going to be 4,500 square feet. Have a nice day. This guy knows, and I told him, one-on-one.
Mr. Chairman, this is very appropriate
Well,
in a public hearing. He has to say what he wants to say, let him
Right.
say it. But he's gonna start paraphrasing other people, that's not appropriate.
okay, well, we'll stop it.
I have, if you need it, I have a witness that.
No, it
witnessed the
doesn't matter,
conversation. I'm not
but
lying. It's what-
just keep to
Okay,
the design.
but this, to me, this individual cannot say that he didn't know that we were a heritage community, nor that he understood the nature of the structures in the community. That's not an acceptable.
Okay,
Okay,
that's fine. Thank you for that part.
All right. I guess I'm not an architect. The words excessive, inconsistency are words I've heard as boards like you consider things, and I think you've come to that point on what you've seen. I guess, just trying to see what else I wanted to say. The setback itself, I think this guy got into a box, my opinion. Okay? Put the pool in. Put the pool in without a permit. So there's the pool. Now we're going to build. Okay? So now we want to turn the house, which was on Main Street, with its driveway and a garage on Main Street for 75 years. We're going to turn the house on Linden Lane. Now the pool's here. Now he's trying to build. He's got to do a patio for the pool. Then he's got to come forward with the house. Hence, he's 32 feet from his property line to the front door. And I think it's 40-foot setback, if I'm not mistaken. So now we're looking at this thing 30 feet from his line. So it's just something to consider when you consider your deliberations on all of this, a lot of stuff like that. There's construction waste on the site,
Well, that's normal. That's a normal situation
Got
in
it?
a
Okay.
construction site.
Okay, but it should be taken away, because if it's there to become fill, it's not allowed to be fill,
Well,
right? Okay. Um, the one thing I have to just state, and then I'll sit down and let somebody else talk. I think that the disregard that I mentioned in the letter to the town, to your board, to the building code, to the inspectors, that they've stopped them working. And we are the watchdogs, because they kept coming back. There's been 3 stop work orders, taking them off the site.
okay, I'm gonna have to stop you
Sure.
because that's within the purview of the building department,
Okay,
not us.
Got it, okay.
We're here for design
No, I understand.
and
Got
to
it.
protect the design and the harmony of the community.
And I'll leave you with the Linden 11, feel the same way as you do right now. And we'd love to have a building there, a nice house that conforms to the community and to the heritage, designation. The other thing I'll add, I talked about Brian's house, the candy store. The Warren's house is the old hospital. And across the street, all within 500 feet, is another historic property within Quiog. There's probably about 30 or so historic designated buildings in Quiog in the heritage area. This is within 500 feet of 3 of them. It's the first thing you're going to see when you go over the bridge from West Hampton. You pass the little sign that says, "Welcome to the heritage area of Quiog," and then on the left, this is what you're going to see. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Hi,
Hi,
I'm Brian Mahoney. I live at 390 Main Street, which was formerly 7 Linden Lane. These are in the historic, right on the website. So this is my house. My wife and I picked it up when we know it was inevitable we're gonna have to downsize. It's a 2-bedroom cottage. We painfully restored it to its original beauty. Here's what it went through.
and it's upside down.
Thank you.
Okay.
Here's what it went through, from going from a general store to a candy store. There's the Turkey Bridge in the background.
Right.
So we adore this house. All you need is love. And what is proposed, forgive me, Walter, is not love. It's not the love that these people, the Linden 11, myself 6 years ago, picked up this house to say, wow, we're part of a heritage area. And I love modern structures. I'm a landscape architect. I've been in the town, working in the town for over 30 years. So I know the permit process. And when you start playing games, this is what happens. You get burnt. Okay, but we're going to talk about aesthetics.
Yes,
so.
just
Yeah.
the design.
Okay, lastly, there's the subject property. This is right on the website again, the map.
Upside down.
It really doesn't matter. The orange is historic. White is you. You can't do what you're trying to do.
Where's the Turkey Bridge now? I couldn't.
Turkey Bridge is right
Right
here.
there, okay, I didn't
Big
see it.
capacity. I mean, you're surrounded by historic toad hall across the street.
Right.
God knows what it was, part of a golf course manor in the house. It's just amazing that this would even be considered.
Okay.
And we're not asking to match the history.
There's the
We don't want
Turkey
you to
Bridge.
recreate time.
Okay,
But
excuse
there are
me,
ways of making it
where,
work.
okay, can we have this to
Sure,
add it
yeah.
into, Mr. Chinkowski? That should be added into
We'll put
it.
in the file.
Right, in the file.
Can I comment, the heritage area, just so that we're clear, this house does not have a.
Well, I'm gonna,
Heritage
no,
designation.
we're gonna take care of this
I think you
later.
said that
Yeah.
when you first spoke.
Right,
I hope I didn't.
Yeah, no, you did.
Here's my house, there's the framing.
Right.
You can see how that thing is just hulking over my historic property.
so,
Here's what I've done, like my neighbor said, Jay. This is out of
when
my
Ted and I went
league.
there, it didn't have the second floor,
Wooden
but,
roof, copper gutters. I mean,
yeah,
I'm up to 200 grand, just making the outside look pretty.
no, can understand that.
And I can't wait to get to the landscape.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. This is 100% historic. This is
Okay.
Anyway, all you need is love. Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Thanks,
very
Brian.
much. Right, thank you. Is there anyone else wants to speak? Yes, would you please come up and identify yourself?
I'm Ursula Lynch. I live on 380 Main Street, and I have seen the inception from the beginning. I actually talked to the owner when the pool was put in, and he was very proud of it. And then I walked over to the site, and there was no building permit. I said, I walk all the time in Quiog and West Haven Beach and have seen a lot of new construction, and I have not seen a building permit. And I mentioned it, and there was no response. As a neighbor, and this is probably more appropriate to the building department, I was appalled with all these work stop orders that construction still went on.
Okay, we can't address that here.
I
just
talked to the owner and I
design.
said, what are you planning to do? And he said, well, it will be a house with 8 bathrooms. I said, why 8 bathrooms? He says, well, in the Hamptons, everybody has a bathroom or a bedroom. And I just laughed and I didn't take him for real. Now I've been watching what's going on and I realize this does not fit in our neighborhood. It is a monstrous McMansion in disguise of a residency. And we are all upset about the size and the ugliness of it all. And the many other issues that I'm upset about, the whole building permit and no building permit, and the lying about a demolition permit when already construction was going on. This
Yeah,
is all
would you keep it to the design, please?
Yeah, the design is a monstrosity in I don't know where it belongs, maybe on the moon, but not here.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Do we have someone else? Yes, come on up.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members.
Morning.
Thank you for hearing us. I am George Lynch of 380 Main Street. So my wife and I are not of the Linden Lane 11, but the place is so big that from our home 2 doors away, we can see it quite easily. Most of it, well, half of it. Let me not exaggerate. I have to apologize. I have a letter that I thought had been submitted to the board independently from a neighbor on Linden Lane, but apparently I was expected to submit it. So I will, it's very brief, I'll read it now. It's from Maxine and Paul Rosenberg of 14 Linden Lane. To the board, for 30 years, my husband and I have owned a house and lived at 14 Linden Lane in Quiog, New York. What drew us to this bucolic area is the quiet, tree-lined street with houses that were well integrated into this serene environment. But suddenly this year, an enormous structure started to be built on the corner of Main Street and Linden Lane, taking over the gentle country look of our narrow lane. The size alone of this future house is totally inappropriate for this area. I hope you can prevent this from ruining our neighborhood and give you my support. Sincerely, Maxine B. Rosenberg. I'll submit this if I may. Thank you. I should also point out, as I think.
Oh, wait till you get to the microphone, because we are on Zoom and the general public is watching.
Very good. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Forgive me. I should also point out, as I think of it, that there are folks who have signed Mr. Scanzaroli's letter, like ourselves, who are not on Linden Lane. We've got a couple of 3 signatories on Main Street, I think all the way up to number 450 on Main Street. And I offered to get quite a few more, but we decided, time was against us. We better put in what we needed to put in. I mention that because it's not just the immediate neighbors. This is a whole neighborhood, and indeed, if we were to go around talking to people, it would probably be a whole community. Quiog is a very independent place with an identity and a style of its own. As you know, Quiog is a hamlet, not an incorporated village. It chose not to join with either West Hampton Beach to the west or Quogue to the east. There is a small local history book here by Ted Conklin And I show you the title if you can see it. It says On Quaog. Not Quaog, not in Quaog, but on Quaog. And that's because, very briefly, there were accessibility issues with Quaog back in the day, before bridges. There was water on three sides and an almost non-traversable marsh to the north. So they went by boat. So they treated it pretty much like an island. And to this day, the Southampton Press, in any story about Quaog, still uses that preposition on. They say on Quaog. We're an independent bunch. And we like our style the way it is. Another brief historical note, and then I'll stop with the history. Quaog was once called the Holy Land because so many clergymen summered there. It was a community of clergy from the city and elsewhere to the west, and it was called the Holy Land. And their tastes, of course, ran to a conservative style in architecture, as in most other things. And I don't need to tell this board, if you just take a little ride around Quaog, you will see that. You will see that it is a generally conservative style. And this place is utterly out of sync with it. Utterly out of sync. So I think if what is projected here is put down, what we need to realize is that it's going to be put down in a community with a sense and a spirit, not in some nondescript potato field the way many are. Thank you very much.
Thanks, George.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this application? Okay, if not, then in my opinion, what we should do at this point is we'll vote on it, and then you'll be able to resubmit. Okay, because the way that all of this is going, I think.
Well, what's the motion even going to be? Because there's nothing.
A motion not to approve the application.
All right, that's it?
Do you want to?
Yeah, all right, so then that's fine. Then I'll make the motion to not approve this application as it's currently submitted.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made to reject and not approve the application as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay. Excuse me?
The one that we moved to the
Oh,
end.
yeah, would you? Yes, thank you, Mr. Meyer. Appreciate it. Kevin, is 658 there? Okay, fine. Okay, if not, then do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Our next meeting is January 7th. And thank you, everyone, and have a Merry Christmas. And Happy New Year. Right.
Thanks, Walter.
Thank you.